Welcome back to the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast, episode 10 now. We're at the big 1-0, first milestone reached as a podcast. And to celebrate, I brought on Gianluca Zammit once again. Like I mentioned on the episode about the MFPA out of contract summer camp, we would bring Gian in and have him come and tell his story. And guys, it's going to be very interesting for a lot of people because this is the first Maltese-born player guest that we're having on the podcast, which means we are going to get a completely new perspective on Maltese football today. We're going to learn all about what it's like going through the youth nurseries here in Malta to becoming a professional player in the senior level. Gian, welcome to the podcast again.
Hi, nice to be here. Again.
Pleasure having you back. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Busy day at work?
Yes. But I'm here now.
So, Gian, tell me about how Preseason's going so far. We mentioned briefly on the last podcast that you just signed for San Gwann.
Yes. Preseason is going quite good, quite well. We've played 2 matches.
Okay, how did they go?
One against Rabat. We won 5-1.
Did you score?
Yeah.
Good. What position were you playing?
Right wing.
Right wing. Okay.
Right wing in the first half and in the middle in the second half.
Okay. Where do San Gwann kind of see you at the moment? Are you more of a winger for them?
More of a winger, yeah. But I could play as a number 10 because with the agility I have, and the striker, the characteristics of the striker, he can hold the ball and give it to me.
Okay, so that would be quite a nice little 2-man partnership up front.
Exactly.
That's how I've always liked playing up front, is playing as the link man between.
Exactly.
Have a big target man up front and play off of him. Makes it very easy.
And the second friendly we played against the Premier League side, Floriana, we lost 4-0, but we always learn.
Where did Floriana finish last season?
They finished third.
Third? I mean, they're a very, very well-established team in Malta, one of the best. Second,
because third, it was Hamro.
Okay. So, tough match.
Yeah, but
you're not really expecting to pick up a result. You kind of just test yourself against the top level, give yourself something difficult and let the players adjust to that scenario.
That's what we need. We need to play, against this kind of team. So
teams
we could
that will put you under pressure constantly, make you chase, make you work hard. It's great for fitness because you're just doggying around trying to get the ball.
Every time. When you get the ball, you need, like we said in the last podcast, you need to be fast. You need to, when you're receiving the ball, you already know what you're doing.
Exactly.
So it's quite difficult, but you will take it step by step, and obviously your level will go up there.
How are you feeling so far?
Yeah, feeling good, feeling well now.
Sharp?
After 2 years not playing, it's been nice now to get back, to have the continuity in my life again with football. I'm feeling confident, that the season would be the season that could
elevate you back up to where you should be playing.
Yes, hopefully.
Where do you think San Gwann are going to finish next year? Obviously, the league is enormous this year.
Exactly, this year there is going to be 6 teams that are going to play to fight for promotion and 12 teams playing to fight for relegation.
How many teams go down? 6, right?
6,
Ooh.
yes.
It's a lot.
So 6 stay and 6 go down. So the second part is going to be difficult for sure, but I'm heads up for sure San Gwann will be in top 6.
I think so. Always a good team. I mean, you've got the right balance between like excelling youth players and the team always brings in established
There's
players.
There's very talented youngsters, coming up from under 19, under 21 national team. So, and even the foreigners that just came, they're very, very good.
I've always enjoyed watching San Gwann play. They have a really nice mix to the team, blending the youth with the established players, and then the foreigners they bring in usually make a big difference for them. I think it'll be a good season for you guys. I'm excited to see you playing. It's like you said, 2 years away. It's a long time.
It's been difficult for me, but I always thank God, for pushing me and for keeping me consistent.
So one of the biggest things I want to talk about today is growing up in Malta and going through the youth nursery system. Obviously myself only moving here 3 years ago, I wasn't a part of that. I have no idea of what it's like, and I've just been made head coach of a youth nursery here. So for me it would be great to start learning what the system's actually like, and I'm all ears. Tell me what it's like. What age did you begin playing?
I began playing at 4 years old, and at 4 years old there isn't any age or group that you could go with. So I went with the under sixes.
Okay.
At that time, at 4 years old, so I started playing with Mosta, as my dad was the senior head coach of Mosta. And obviously at that time the level of the coaches, it was a little bit different because you didn't need any license.
Yeah.
You just were there for a volunteer, and obviously there were some courses offered by the MFA, but there were some good coaches that get you to level up when you are a youngster. You don't need to win games, just only to take the outcome of it.
Exactly.
And see the progress of the children.
It's one of the biggest things I always emphasize as a youth development coach is your focus should only be on player development at that age. Results, although it's nice to win trophies or win games and be undefeated as a children's team, ultimately that's one, no one's going to remember that. Two, it doesn't help you when you get to the senior level. And three, the only thing that matters is when you reach senior level football, are you ready to play or not? And it's those ages that it's so key and important to iron out bad habits, to polish technique. I mean, you see even in other aspects of life, children, when you're a child, it's the best time to learn. Musical instruments, new skills, martial arts. When you're a kid, you learn so much quicker.
And even in football, I went to some schools, to Buzu school, to Zazu school as well. I went to these both most professional coaches we had in Malta.
Yeah.
Buzu Karmel Buzdil is a well-known player, and Zazu is a well-known coach. He was with the under-21 national. He reached a record with the team, and he coached even the senior Maltese national team.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, I went there when I was young, and I learned a lot, because when you go to these type of schools, the focus is on technique, dribbling, so you could get these things, because like you said, when you are young, you are free to get these movements.
You can really tell the difference between, and this is especially in England as well, you can see which players have been in the academies and which players have grown up playing Saturday League, because just the level of technique on display at a young age, the movement looks fluid, it looks like you've got rhythm with the ball, and when you dribble, it looks like you're comfortable, you're in control of the ball all the time. Whereas you see the players that maybe haven't had the academy coaching, they're a bit more raw, a bit rough around the edges, they don't have that technique to keep the ball perfectly with their feet, it's more just push the ball out in front of them and run after it.
When you are young, you don't know what you are doing, but the main thing is that you are playing is you run with the ball. And they try to help you to not run only with the ball, but dribble with the ball,
exactly.
Pass the ball. It's quite different, It's quite difficult to coach youngsters these days, because to grow up to that level, to reach that level when you grow up is going to be difficult, but like we said, you need to train and take it day by day, and obviously the level will be there for sure.
The players at a young age that have parents around them with long-term goals in mind, they're the ones that benefit the most, because the parents will recognise when to keep a child in a programme that's maybe not getting win after win, but they know that the coach is going to help develop that player to the point they need to be.
That's what we need, because some people in Malta, and you see them, they take out videos, like parents fighting with coaches because they don't play, or they shout with them. It's quite normal in Malta, but to learn and to arrive to that level, at a professional level, when you grow up, you need to be coached like that.
Exactly.
For sure.
There needs to be a step-by-step plan from the club as to how to integrate players that arrive at 4, 5, 6 years old to, if this player is going to stay with us until 19, 20, 21, how are we going to make sure that they're now arriving at first team level and are able to mix with our first team players? Obviously, not every player is going to make it to that level, but it's the club's job to do their best to help the player reach that level. Whether that means they lose a few games during the first few years while they adjust to the new setting and get used to the program, that's something parents need to be patient with, I think.
Exactly. And I hopefully want to be patient like that.
Me too. So you said you went to the two football schools taught by ex-national team players.
Yes.
Would you say that you've benefited then from probably the best coaching that was available in Malta as you were growing up?
Yes, I benefited a lot. I learned a lot with these both football schools. They gave me a lot of confidence, a lot of progression along my football career. Obviously, it comes as a routine then.
Yeah.
As you do a drill, you do it once, twice, and then it just comes naturally. Yeah. For sure.
And would you say that at that age you kind of already had in mind that you wanted to be a footballer growing up, or was it more just still for fun and kind of just doing it on the side? And
I think it was both.
Yeah.
I think it was both. Just going for fun, meet my friends, and obviously I love playing football.
Yeah.
So that's why I went. But when I felt the peak, I think it was 15, 16 at the first time that I got called with the under 15 national team. That's where I said, listen, now you're at the national team, you need to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And now I want this as part of my job, but in Malta, unluckily,
it's a bit difficult, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, yes, but for half of Maltese players, we work, and it's a little bit of difficult because the wages are low.
Yeah.
But like you said, we'll take it step by step, and obviously one day, hopefully,
exactly,
we'll get that type of contract.
You'll arrive back in the Premier League, sign a nice contract that can allow you to be a full-time professional player, and then who knows, the ceiling from there expands. Once you get to that level, the world is your oyster, really. The Premier League does open up opportunities abroad. It opens up.
Hopefully we could play abroad.
Exactly, yeah.
That's our aim. As we were, as youngsters, some players come to talk to us, like Andrej Kembri. He used to play at Omonia Nicosia at Cyprus. He used to play in big leagues. And obviously he comes to school, comes as well to football school, so as well to talk to you and to give you that motivation.
I see him, there's a few players on the island that are often scheduled for the guest appearances at the summer camps. He's one of the regulars. It must be nice to have that influence, because in, let's say, a big country like England, it might be harder to find these players to come in and just talk at local camps and summer camps, whereas in Malta, the exposure to these players that have been abroad and played at the top level abroad, it's much easier to arrange for the local clubs. So do you feel like that benefited you guys kind of growing up, to have constant players coming in that have achieved big things in the game?
Yes, for sure. It helped us a lot, because you admire the way that they started, what they passed from, getting away from your family since you are young. Playing abroad, different country, different language, different culture. It's difficult to adapt that lifestyle. Yeah. But obviously, it's how bad you want it.
Exactly. Some people will make that sacrifice in order to achieve what they want, and it's adaptability is one of the biggest factors I find in players that are actually able to succeed as a professional footballer, especially in England, where English people are kind of renowned for not being very adaptable. You see, even at the top level, English players, they don't really move abroad. Only recently have we seen the influx of players like Jadon Sancho going to Germany, and now there's quite a few English players going over to Germany, seeing the opportunities that Sancho created for himself. Now more people are starting to do it. But before that, you're looking at maybe 4 or 5 players a year that would actually go abroad. The likes of Paul Ince going to Inter Milan, the likes of David Beckham going to Real Madrid, Owen to Real Madrid. Players don't really move abroad that much as English players.
But I think because of the setup and the leagues they have in England, it's it's different, you know.
Yeah.
As I say, in England, I think it's the best league in the world, and obviously there are many doors open that you can take to succeed. Whilst in other countries there are doors open, but I think not like England.
No.
You know, it's
You can play at even the 10th division and make a livable wage.
exactly. It's different. You know, I follow the championship and championship too. You know, the level is
Still
incredible.
elite.
Still
It's an elite level still. Very good players
Yeah,
there.
some players could even make it to the national team, but obviously you need to play Premier League football for sure.
But I think English people in general do not travel well. They find it very difficult to settle into other countries because of when you live in England, you only know English, you don't know any other language, you don't really focus on it in school to learn another language. And
That's the drawback, you know, because some players live, you know, 50 minutes away, 1 hour away from the training ground, from the facilities. So it's quite difficult as a player playing in England, you know, living 1 hour away, and you need to be there like 3 hours for sure before. So there needs to be this, you know, this spend time from family, from school, from your friends. So it's quite difficult. Not whilst in Malta, you know, Malta's small, it's an isolated island, so you need to be maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
It's honestly
away.
one of the most positive things I can say about the structure here is no matter what club you play for, you're only ever 30 minutes away from training. It's something that I never take for granted. I could sign for a team on the other side of the country quite comfortably because I know that in England I've travelled 2 hours to get to football training every week, every day. Whereas if I only have to go half an hour, that's like nothing to me. So having that opportunity around you, being able to kind of be accessible to every single club in the league is a very nice benefit to playing in a country like Malta.
And that is the mindset that like you had, you know, you need to travel 2 hours for a 1 hour and 30 minute session.
Exactly.
So that's the mindset to get you there, to get you to professional club, and obviously you reach your level.
So after the football schools that you were a part of, which club were you mainly developing at? You said you were at Moster's under 6 program.
Yes,
What age did you leave Moster?
I left Moster at 8 years old, and I went 1 year with Valletta.
Okay.
As well as my dad moved and he got me there. And I only did one season because the nursery at that time was not that of a professional as it was at Mosta. So I stopped going to nurseries in Malta, and I only went to football schools. And there I used to train with Zazu at San Gwann, and there was this guy, Lino, that watched me, and he told me, listen, you are very talented and I want you to sign with San Gwann. Yeah. And I signed with San Gwann, and I did 2 seasons there.
Okay.
And then I went to Birkirkara, and there when I developed
through the ranks completely. So tell me about the process of moving clubs as a child in Malta, because I know you get locked into the club for a certain amount of time. Is that correct?
Yeah. You sign a contract, you know, when you are young. You don't know what you are signing. Obviously, the parents know what you are signing.
Exactly,
but it's the desire of the child, you know, if he wants to stay at the club, if he wants to stay with his friends.
So if you were to, let's say when you signed for San Gwann, how long was that commitment that you had to stay with San Gwann until you were allowed to move again freely?
So I signed at 10, and I signed the contract of 5 years till under 15.
Okay.
And then obviously after under 15 you need to sign another contract.
Yeah.
But then at the time I wanted to move to Birkirkara at 12 years old, and there was a little fee, you know, for me of a 12 years old. So it's a joke you need to pay.
Exactly.
But that's the rules and regulations of Maltese football, and obviously Birkirkara paid something for me.
So that's the one thing that the foreign players definitely take for granted over here. Obviously, with the new ruling that got put in place about the Bosman transfers, now the foreign players that come over here, once you sign a contract and it's over, you can freely move, whereas they don't really appreciate the Maltese players that are still kind of bound to clubs because of their training compensations, because of their contracts that they've signed as a kid, meaning that they're now locked into that team for a certain period of time until they either pay their release themselves, or like Birkirkara did, they pay a little sum of money for you to free you up. So
the training compensation starts at 12 years old, so that's when I moved to Birkirkara, and my training compensation started there, not with San Gwann.
Yeah, okay. And what was the level like at San Gwann compared to Birkirkara? What would you say that the level increased when you moved to Birkirkara, or did you just prefer the environment of Birkirkara?
I think that the level of San Gwann that we had, we used to play 7-a-side, 6-a-side.
Yeah.
So it's quite different to compare these two, because when I went to Birkirkara, I came to the 11-a-side. Because they introduced the 11-a-side that's under 12.
Okay, yeah.
So it was quite different, But obviously the level from San Gwann to Birkirkara is different. But the team we had in San Gwann, I remember, was very, very good. San Gwann organized a tournament in Easter. It's called the Mediterranean Tournament.
Okay.
And they bring a team from Denmark, from a foreign country, and obviously we won this tournament and we won against this foreign club, and obviously when you won against a foreign club, it's something special.
More rewarding, yeah.
Exactly. It's
you know that you've had to work hard to play against a top team in another country.
Yeah, and I think we had a good level. But then as I spoke with you, with Birkirkara, the level was completely different. Players were different, the mentality was quite enormous from San Gwann, because it's more different, they want you to push you to go with the senior team. And obviously my dad at that time was the coach, and he loves to help out in the nurseries, like he did with Birkirkara Valletta. He created the Valletta youth development sector, and even the Birkirkara FC youth sector. He created something different, but not like with Valletta at that time.
Did you find that your dad had played a big part in your youth development? Was he kind of the one making the decisions with your future in mind, or were you kind of free to just do kind of whatever you wanted, and it was your choice to follow him to each club?
I was freely to move, and my final decision was always mine. Yeah. Obviously, it would give me, that speech of a dad, obviously, but I always take points, from my dad, because I know he's a professional coach, and if I don't listen from him, then
exactly
who am I going to listen from?
So, like we mentioned in the previous podcast in episode 7, Gianluca's dad is Paul Zammit, who is the most winningest coach in Maltese football history. So he's a very well-respected coach over here, one of the best on the island. And again, that's why I'm so interested to kind of hear about what it was like to kind of grow up under that influence. Did you find that your dad would help with your development as you were growing up? Did you kind of have sessions on the side with him when you were growing up? Or?
Obviously, yes. When I was young, you get that period of summer, because obviously in season he was
busy with his commitments.
So in summer, we used to go to Ali. There's the small pitch, and we used to go there and train, obviously, to get that level that I wanted. And obviously he helped me a lot when I was young, me and my brother.
Yeah, your younger brother, what's his, remind me his name?
Andrea. He currently plays with
the national team as well.
And basically with the under 21.
He recently just scored the goal against Spain, correct?
Spain,
Halfway line.
Halfway line.
Lovely goal. I remember seeing that. I was like, ooh! So the both of you were kind of being pushed regularly in the summer. You'd benefit from having that one-to-one time with him.
Yeah, so yes, we used to go and train there, and obviously as a dad, you need your sons to succeed, so that's what he was doing, and that's what he's still doing.
Exactly. He gives you that platform to succeed when you're younger, and now you've grown, it's kind of in your hands to...
Exactly. He tells us, before training you do the exercises because of what I went through.
Yeah.
And after, you stretch because it's important, because that's why so many players get injured in season because...
They don't take care of themselves afterwards. The recovery part is so vital. I'm always in an ice bath, always doing the yoga stretches and stuff afterwards.
Exactly. You need to take care of yourself because at the end of the day, you are your own doctor. You know what you feel.
Exactly.
So
you've benefited from having that kind of pool of wisdom kind of actively available to you growing up.
I was lucky. That I had my dad there helping me, giving me tips.
I think it must be so beneficial to have that kind of encyclopedia of knowledge accessible when you're trying to make decisions, having someone who can really provide you with expert level advice on the situation and help you understand the choice that you have in front of you to make.
Exactly. I was lucky, that I had my dad helping me, and obviously, like we said, at the end of the day, at the end of the game, I don't tell him what did I do good, but what I did bad, so
Let
I
him
could
analyse the
improve on that things, that helps me to get better and to be better.
So going through Birkirkara, you said you were 15 when you joined.
I was 12 years old.
12, so they paid the fee at 12 years old and you moved
exactly.
over. You signed another contract contract at 15 that would then tie you through to the seniors?
Till 21 years old.
Okay.
So it was quite a long contract, you don't know what's happening. But obviously I signed it and I was happy with the club, and at the time my dad went to Valletta FC, but I still stayed at Birkirkara because I thought that I wanted to make my own way, and I had friends there, and I think the level of Birkirkara was different than the other clubs because the talent that we had, the players that we had at that time was very, very professional.
I think I know quite a few of the players that were in the Birkirkara Academy around that age group, and you see them now in the senior level. All of them are excelling, doing very well.
Yeah, there are many, many players like Zach Kassar, he's now with Floriana, Elton Attard with Hibernians. And there's Carlos Zammit with Floriana, he's a very good player. And there's many, many more players.
I know Zach's brother Jeremy very well.
Yeah,
he's again good player. One of the fittest players, really dedicated. Just that
those
level of
brothers
commitment.
are really, really dedicated.
They are machines when it comes to like keeping themselves, like their body is a temple. I used to see Jeremy at training at Fagora when I was the coach, and just the level of effort that he would be able to sustain through the entire session, incredible levels. So you mentioned that the players that were part of that age group that you were in at Birkirkara, everyone is, like most players, pushed on and are doing very well in Maltese football now. What would you say was like the contributing factor to their success? Was it the coaching? Was it the mentality of everyone there? Was it the structure behind the youth program?
I think everything, was in one setup. Birkirkara was a good nursery. The coaches we had are a very good level. The under 17 coach we had at that time was Tain McAuliffe. He's now joined with Valletta senior team. He's a very, very good coach, and he helped us develop to make that step, because at the under 17 you go to the under 19s. At that time it was called the under 19s. And so he helped us make that step because it was difficult, you need to play with 3 years older with you. At the time I was 17 years old, facing Michele Sansone, Aiden Jake Ruggieri in the minors, Gulli. It was very, very difficult. But obviously with the help of these coaches, the structure that Birkirkara had, was very, very good, and it helped us a lot.
Perfect. And how long did it take you to break through to the seniors?
It took me 2 years to break to the seniors. My first year as an under 19 player, it was my first year, it was a little bit difficult. I struggled a little bit.
An adjustment phase, kind of getting used to the level, the physicality that increases.
Exactly, it was different, but by the time passes, I gained my level, and obviously, game by game, I got to
More
where I
confident,
wanted
more
at the end of the
confident.
season.
Yeah. And what was it like when you first kind of broke through to the senior team, being so young? How old were you? 18?
I was 18 years old.
18 years old, walking into the senior dressing room or onto the training pitch with the senior players. Obviously, you've got quite well-known foreign players on the team at that time.
Exactly.
How do you feel as a young player walking onto that pitch for the first time?
Well, I think I felt a little bit of pressure, you know, because facing those players was, you know, another level.
It's a bit of a reality
Yeah.
check at times,
You
isn't
go
it?
to the ground and you watch these players, you know, playing against you. I'm going to train with them, you know. I'm so excited.
You have the level of excitement, but then there's also that like pressure of, okay, right, now I actually need to show that I'm able to keep up with these guys. But you know the jump from minors football to senior, the physicality, the speed of the game, the quickness of decision making, everything just goes. And to go into the Premier League as well with Birkirkara.
It's quite a different, you know, level. There's a big gap between the under 17 and under 19, and then there's a triple gap from the under 19 to the seniors. So it was quite difficult for me and my friends, you know, to quite get that level. But obviously, with the help of the coaches we had at that time, at the first year, my dad wasn't there. We had a foreign coach, a very good coach. But then at my second year, my dad was there, and I think the level changed a lot.
Yeah.
And many youngsters went in at that season, 2018-19, you know. Many players broke through the senior level with Birkirkara.
Yeah. How is it when you turn up to training for the senior team and your dad's the head coach?
It was a little bit difficult to adapt, you know. At first calling him dad and now coach, it was a little bit difficult for me.
Because you see a lot in youth level, let's say in other countries, in Malta, I'm sure it happens as well. You always tend to have the dad as the coach, and he always has his son with him playing for his team, and usually they'll be made captain, they'll get all the special treatment growing up, and even if they're not the best player on the team, they'll always be the first name on the team sheet. And
well, I say that I'm lucky that I didn't got these things, you know, because they don't make you a player.
Exactly.
And you don't need to have something special.
The silver spoon treatment doesn't set you up to succeed.
Exactly. You don't need these things, you know, to succeed. Only your will and your way will get you there. And obviously, how you train, you play.
Yeah.
So that's always my mentality.
I think it's a testament to the professionalism as well for a coach that's also got his son on the team to not give that preferential treatment. That just shows the level of professionalism, and again, it's clever parenting in the sense that he's not giving anything to you. You have to work for it still. It challenges you to really push yourself to prove that you're worthy of being there.
I think I had that will, you know, because when I saw some players, obviously you hear the supporters talking, you know, why always him? Why always him? Why do I always get subbed in? Why do I always, you know, go to warming up and the other players no? You know, it gave me that power, you know, to not prove to them, only to prove to me that I can play at this level.
That's the only opinion that ever matters. It's the biggest thing to shift in your mindset as a player is forget what everyone else thinks. It just doesn't matter. As long as you're confident in yourself and you have that self-belief and you've proved everything to yourself, it's really the only opinion you should care about. Let the supporters talk. They're always going to talk. Let the other parents talk. They're always going to talk. But just as long as you're happy.
Focus on myself.
So you had how many years in the Birkirkara senior team before you moved on?
I spent 2 years at Birkirkara with the senior team, and I was still playing with the minors.
Yeah.
And then one day an option came to join San Gwann in the first division. They were struggling a bit and they didn't have a winger, and obviously at that time Coach Stefano Grima, he's a very talented coach, a very professional coach, and he wanted me to join his team, and my dad told me, listen, it would be perfect for you to play first division football
Regular
and obviously
game
to
time.
get more time in the
Exactly.
senior football, so you could get that feeling and that step to make in the Premier League.
Exactly. I think a lot of players can sometimes be reluctant to drop a level, but the one thing that people don't understand is, especially at that age of 18, 19, 20, first team football, regular first team football, it doesn't matter what level it is, regular first team football is so important for development to adjust to the adult level.
Exactly, I think the most important age at that time. Of course, it's the development area. You know, if you don't make it at that time, it's quite difficult to make it when you get older. Some players in Malta break through, and even foreign, they break through at 26, 27. You know, you don't hear from them. Like Jamie Vardy is a good example to all footballers.
Goes through the non-league levels, but at the same time,
when he peaked, he was 30 years old, 29 with Leicester. So,
but again, it's a testament to regular first team football. No matter what the level, is beneficial to him. He dropped all the way down to non-league. It didn't put him off. He was quite happy to play at Division 9, Division 8, just to get that regular game time. And slowly but surely,
it helped him a lot.
He raised his level each time and ended up at Leicester, where he obviously flourished in the Premier League. So just being able to trust your ability and trust that you might be able to drop a level in order to get that game time to prove that you're worth coming back up is a big decision to make, but also it really reflects confidence in your own ability.
That's what I did last year, you know, joining Zabar, not Zabar as I wanted to get down a level, but at Zabar, you know, they were already at that level, so I wanted to drop down a level so my football would go, you know, again to that standards that I wanted.
Get time in a bit of a pressure-free environment where you can just play, showcase what you've got, let clubs see that you're back, because ultimately you spent two years sidelined. You need to come back and let clubs know that, one, you're good to go, your body's healed, you feel great. Two, you need to remind them of your abilities, because when football's a cruel industry, you're only as good as your last season.
Exactly.
If you spend a year out, people forget who you are, they forget what you can bring to the table. In Malta, probably you get a bit more leeway with that because everyone knows each other. It's much easier to kind of work off of a previous reputation, but still coaches are going to be unsure about you. So seeing you play for Zabar and play at a high level and show that you're still sharp, you're still good, you still score goals, you can provide assists, it's going to reaffirm those coaches and make them think, oh, actually, he was once very good and really talented. He might be back on track to reach that level. We'll bring him in.
Yeah, well, some coaches recognize you know when you were younger, and obviously they would be happy for you that you're back. Obviously, many coaches, you know, congratulated me that I am back now.
Yeah.
Of course, it's been a long journey for me. You know, for some people, you say 2 years. It's been us, but for me, it was like 10 years.
It's horrible when you have something that you're so ingrained into your system. Like you said, at 4 years old, it's been football. For you to have that routine stripped away from you and taken away for 2 years.
It's quite difficult than seeing my friends, you know, succeed
in
football, and I'm there, you know, on the chair with my leg up, doing exercises to get back. It was quite cruel for me.
I've been in that situation before where you just sat there on the side the entire time, just watching everyone else do well. I remember seeing players around me at my level that I would modestly say I'm at the same level, potentially even better than, but they're getting scouted from the games they're playing to academies, and now they're all making moves and starting to be successful in football. And I'm sat there thinking, it's hard not to try and be a little bit resentful. You're sat there, negative thoughts are starting to brew, and you're like, God, I should be there, that should be me, I could have been doing that, but I'm here injured again. Like, what do I do? How do you, in your head, make sure that you stay positive and don't sit there letting that negative energy take over?
Well, obviously, like you said, you start saying nonsense. You know, there are players that are succeeding and you are there, you know that you are better, but obviously the thought comes that you don't need to say that I'm better than that guy and I should be there, you know. Just focus on yourself, focus on your injury, you know. Be back as soon as possible, but at the right time.
Yeah.
Because of some injuries, you know, some players or some coaches rush to get you in, and obviously that you spent 2 weeks out, you know, you spent 4, double the time.
I can tell you from experience, rushing to come back from injuries was never a good idea. I spent about 5 years in total. From 16, I got my first injury, a broken ankle, and from then on, it was just trying to come back too soon, and I ruined my body to the point where at 21, I had to take a year and a half off of football just to rehab and just completely like get my body back to a state where I was actually ready to play.
It's quite difficult to get your body back, you know, because when you stop playing football, you start eating junk food, start drinking, start going out, and you know, when you're not training, you know, your body shows you that now you're not burning those things that you are getting into your body. So
I mean, let's face it, football alone, one session probably burns at least 600 to 1,000 calories a day. So you're used to burning 1,000 calories a day. Suddenly you take that away.
Exactly.
You're putting on an extra 1,000 calories a day. So
when I had my first ACL, I gained about 7k, 8k. So I went from, you know, underweight to overweight.
Yeah.
In just the span of 2 months.
You balloon, don't you? Once you stop playing, you just balloon in weight.
It's different. It's different, you know. I saw the difference when I used to play and when I stopped playing.
I remember, when was it? When I just finished with Ormy. I went back home for the summer to try and get a little bit of game time there because I hadn't been playing at Ormy. I thought, okay, right, let me try and get some game time and try and keep myself going. But just the fact that I hadn't been playing and I was so demotivated, I ended up putting on, without realising, 15 kilograms. I went from 75, which is my playing weight, to 90 kilograms. I was in England. And I remember looking back at photos of myself when I'm playing Sunday League, and I'm like, looking at myself in disgust. I can see my belly sticking out on my shirt, and I'm like, was I that bad? And you don't see it at the time. It's only when you start to lose it that you realise, like, oh shit, like I'm that big.
Exactly. It was quite difficult, you know, to start dieting again, you know, training again, and obviously doing the rehab as well. So it was quite difficult. But as you said, you don't see the way that you were gaining weight. Because of the stress that I had in my mind, you know, the only solution was eat.
Exactly.
And drink and go to parties.
Exactly.
Watch something on the television.
You have to keep yourself entertained in some way, and unfortunately boredom eating is a very easy thing to go and fall back onto. So you just sit there, maybe you open a tub of sweets or get the Nutella out or whatever it is that you eat a lot of.
From my first one and my second rehab, you know, I did quite different things because the first one, you know, I had another thought in my mind, you know, that I'm going to be back, no worries. But obviously I started going out a lot, you know, drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously you don't care how your appearance looks like. And obviously when you come back to the pitch,
it's a bit of a reality check. You're like, oh
there,
shit.
You know, you see yourself.
You're looking at the other players, they've all got six packs. You look at yourself and you're just like, am I that big now? Like, really? I see videos of myself running and I just like, you look uncoordinated because you're so unfit and heavy, and what you could usually do in 60 minutes of football running around box to box, after 10-15 minutes you're tired, you're panting, you're out of breath, your calves are all pulling up because the excess weight that they're not used to running on. So yeah, it's a big wake-up call when you finally go back to football having been out for so long. Interestingly, it happens a lot to players. You get one ACL injury, you work so hard to come back,
and then the
other one goes immediately. Tell me what happened first of all.
My first ACL was with San Gwann against Sui. We played at Centenary. I came just to receive the ball from the other side, and I went to put my feet on the right flank.
Yeah.
And when I went to make the movement to control with my left, it popped. and I heard a pop, and I didn't know what was it.
Yeah.
And at that time, with the adrenaline you have in yourself, you don't care, and
No,
you get
carry
up
on.
and
Yeah.
carry playing. And obviously, I felt that something was wrong because I was receiving the ball, and I was falling on my
Yeah.
knee, and I didn't know what's wrong. I went to the club physio didn't say that I had an ACL. He told me.
So did you finish the game?
No, I told the coach to go out
Okay.
because I couldn't feel.
And how
knee.
long after the injury did you decide to sub yourself off?
After 10 minutes.
10 minutes. So you lasted 10 more minutes on the ACL.
Yeah, I lost 10
Probably
minutes.
didn't make it any better. Probably in that
No,
time made
it
it
went
worse.
worse, obviously, because I couldn't run.
Yeah.
Because when I made the change of direction, I would have this feeling in my knee, like someone is putting a knife
Yeah.
in my knee. And obviously then I went to rehab, physio, like I said, didn't say that I had ACL. Then I went to training. They forced me to train, because we needed to win this game.
Yeah.
And I went to shoot this ball in training, and I put my right leg first. And when I put it, it just went all the way there.
Completely.
And I felt just like another knife going in, but that this time was worse. Obviously, I went to David Attard, and he told me I have an ACL for sure.
Yeah.
By seeing me walk, he could tell me what I had.
Very talented doctor. I went to see him about my ankle most recently. I think it was 6 months ago or something like that. And immediately he could just tell there was something up without even having to put the MRI on, without having to do the ultrasound. He's got a very good eye for...
He's a very good doctor.
Very, very good doctor. And I was really disappointed because when I originally did the ankle at Ormy, instead of recommending me to go to someone like a specialist, they just tore up the contract and kind of left me to fend for myself. And having not grown up here, I didn't even know about Dr. David Attard, had no idea like he was the guy to go to when it comes to football injuries. And I went to another physio for a little while who did a good job, but ultimately didn't really know what was wrong, and I kept trying to come back and it was still hurting me, still giving me problems. I set myself back about 4 months of football, when had I have just known about David and gone straight to him, I would have had it probably sorted within a couple of weeks and been back. But yeah, just a tip of advice when you are going abroad to countries: ask around the industry, find out who the right people to see are for different things, because 3 years of being here, I didn't even know he existed. I didn't know there was the national kind of team clinic that was regularly available
the
for
national
players.
team uses him a lot.
So Jan, first ACL happens, you go through the recovery. Now tell me what happens next.
I went to recovery with another good physio, Aaron Saliba. Obviously, I was hopefully to get back, as soon as possible. I think I was rushing a bit the time, going to the pitch, started running, started playing with the ball, but obviously the physio told me, listen,
slow down, relax.
Everything comes along.
Yeah.
And then I signed with Leah from Birkirkara, and
was this a loan deal or?
No, I just bought the release.
Okay, so
from
you paid for your
Birkirkara,
release.
and I signed as an amateur.
Okay.
And I signed my first contract with Leah, my first amateur contract.
What division were they in at this point? First division.
And I went to training normal. My first week obviously was quite normal. They didn't have a game, but I was training with the team, and I was feeling confident, getting back that confidence, that you obviously want.
Yeah.
And I got called for the first game the week after, and the coach wanted me to start. But obviously, I talked to my dad, and my dad told me, listen, you're not ready to start the game, you're ready to get in. So I told him that I wanted to get in, not to start the game, because of my ACL that I had just came in. And at halftime, he sent me to warm up, and at 50th minute, I went in. And the first touch that I touched the ball, a player comes running and I was scared because my foot that I operated was first,
Yeah.
and I put my other foot, and obviously the player ran over my foot,
Straight
and I
through it.
heard another pop, the same that I heard the last time, and obviously at that time I knew that
Exactly
it's
what
the
it
same
was. Yeah.
for sure, and I carried on playing till the 90th minute.
You carried on playing the whole thing.
Yeah, because I didn't want, to be the laughing stock of.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It was difficult.
I've played an entire season on a broken ankle before, just because, when you've spent that long out of football. I think I was 4 years now without being injured the entire time. And again, like you said, you're just fed up of being injured. You don't want people to see you as this injury-prone, weak person that can't play football because you're always injured, and you just sit there putting your body through torture, because in your head the second you stop, it's going to be another long period out. So it's like, while I'm on the pitch, let me just enjoy the final 35 minutes, and then I'll deal with the consequences
I knew
after.
immediately what I had, because I felt the same feeling that I felt last time.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I felt gutted. My dad was there and he couldn't watch anymore. He went because he knew what happened. Yeah, because I even told him. When I was in the pitch, I told him that I felt a big pop in my ankle and my knee.
In your knee.
And from there life just went down for me. Everything that I was seeing was bad. It was a nightmare.
It's so frustrating though to see how long was that recovery process from the first one. How many months?
Exactly 7 months.
7 months of work.
7 months.
Basically down the drain because you've done it again on the other knee, and now you've got at least 7 months ahead.
Exactly. It was quite difficult for me, I couldn't stop crying all day in my room. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
But then, as you are in bed crying, you wonder to yourself, why did this happen? Why? What am I doing wrong? And then I just came up that, God wanted me to take this break.
Yeah.
2 years out from football because it's good for me. And he wanted me to learn and to respect more the game of football and respect myself as well.
It's a very positive way to spin it. Being able to see the positives in a dark situation is always the hardest skill to have, but the most beneficial. Even when negative things are brought your way, can you find that little positive spin? And like you said, now what is meant to be maybe the darkest time, you're seeing as, okay, this is my recharge time.
Exactly.
Now I get a break, I can actually take care of myself and rediscover my love for football, and then, like you said, respect it more and appreciate every moment that you're on the pitch now. And I'm sure in the last season, every game you went on, you probably played it as if it was a World Cup final, because you just never know what's around the corner for you when you're on the pitch. You kind of have to play every game like it's almost your last, just in case. You never know what comes around the corner.
That's what my dad tells me, every game is a final, and obviously you need to do everything and do anything you can in that game, because you're only as good as your last game.
Exactly, and that is the cruel reality of football. You could be the best player one season, you have a few bad games the next, and now suddenly your stock is at an all-time low. No one really cares about what you've done in the past. All they really care about is what you can offer them right here and now. So the fact that you're able to hold yourself accountable now and go into every game with that attitude to leave it all on the pitch and do everything possible, I'm sure that was an easy decision for San Gwann to recruit a player like you this year, to have someone that's ready to give everything for them.
Well, obviously, yes, San Gwann already knows what type of player am I and what family do I come from, and they already know what I do on the pitch. I give my everything. It's like my last game. Obviously, in the pitch, I'm a little bit of a different guy. I'm not the same as I'm an outside person. I obviously change my character as I get on the pitch. You know, yes, we are friends outside, but in the pitch we are not friends.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
It's an important thing to be able to do, is separate friendship and competitiveness.
But obviously respect the player. You know, I'm not going to tackle him to injure him. You know, tackle to take the ball.
Exactly.
You know, because some players, mostly in the amateur league, they tackle you to hurt you.
I know. I found that out the hard way. Just literally every time you get near the ball, you just got some cunt kicking you from behind, nowhere near the ball. And the refs let it slide, which makes it even worse because it's like, come on, ref, you've got to protect the players at some point. But yeah, I think especially at the men's level, in the youth level, it's not as malicious. When you get to men's football, you realise there are some people on that pitch that just want to hurt you. Their job is just to hurt you.
It's a different game, you know. There are some defenders, you know, that if you get past them one time, second time, they tell you if you get past again, you know, if you put the ball between my legs, I will break your ankle.
Exactly.
And they will do it.
And they will do it.
They will
want to do it. Yeah.
For sure, they will do it. They don't care if they get a red card. Only 3 matches out and you're there crying 6 months out.
It's a harsh reality that you have to adjust to very quickly, especially because when you're young, your body is much more fragile compared to the senior level players that have been there for 4 or 5 years, toughening themselves up.
You obviously get used to the tackles, get used to the play of the senior football. So
that's actually why I've always respected the players in training that will emulate what a game is like. I respect it much more when the level, like you said, train as if you're in a game, train like you're playing. I want my senior players, when I'm young, to teach me what I need to get used to. Not hurt me, not go out and try and break my ankle, but every now and then, give me a strong tackle. Make me play faster. If I'm taking too long on the ball, go through me. Take the ball fairly, but put a hard tackle in and make me realise that I'm going to have to get used to this, 1, and 2, I need to play faster, otherwise someone is going to break my ankle in that situation. So it's an important lesson for young players. If you're being roughed up in training, don't take it personally. It might be for the betterment of your career, to get used to it in training where players aren't actually trying to hurt you, so that when you're in a game, your body's a bit more resilient, it's a bit more used to the impact, and you're more aware that if you muck around on the ball, someone's going to hurt you.
Some of these experienced players, you know, as we said, when you go first there, you know, you're the new kid, the kid that came, you know, from the nursery. They're going to tease you for sure, but they tease you with an option.
Exactly.
You know, they give you an option. They tease you to give up, or they tease you so you learn.
And it's important to maintain that mentality of, even when you're being battered by your teammates, again, like you did in your dark times from the injury, find that positive spin. They're not trying to hurt you, they're trying to prepare you. So understand, learn the lessons that they're teaching you and adjust from that. I remember when I was at Ormy, there was a period where, again, they had a very young team because they were already confirmed to be relegated. A lot of the players that were under contract had left, and they were now putting their minors through, putting their under-17s through to the senior level, just to give them that experience in the final half of the season. But the young players at the time, I feel a lot of them kind of didn't appreciate that opportunity that they were being given. They're in the shop window, they're being given Division 1 level first team experience at 17 years old, 16 years old. And they're playing with that kind of cockiness that they have from the under 21s, the under 17s, and you can see that they don't really respect the level that they're playing at. And in the games, you can see them getting clattered because they're not playing as fast as they need to. They think they can take 5 or 6 touches on the ball like they can on the Tuesday, and then when they come on the Saturday, they're getting beaten 5, 6, 7-0.
It's different. That's the level, and that's where you say to yourself, listen, this is the level that I'm playing in. Now I need to switch.
Exactly.
Obviously, when you play in different levels, like I played last year in the amateur league, it was a different level. Maybe you could have touched the ball 3 times, but obviously, you know that there was going to be a player and I was going to tackle you hard,
Exactly.
either to injure you or take the ball.
Yeah.
But obviously now in the first division, I already know the football as well as you know. It's a different game, and I think the first division football is more difficult than the Premier.
Yes, much more. I would say the physicality required to play Division 1 football
It's more difficult.
is the hardest. The tempo of the game is just end to end. There's not patient build up. It's mainly attack, attack, attack. If you win the ball, go on attack immediately, go forward, no going backwards. We go straight for goal, and it goes like that for 90 minutes. There's no stop until you finish for half time, where you get a 10-minute break, and then you back out and it's the exact same. And then that last 20 minutes is hell for whoever is losing or whoever's winning.
Yes.
Because whoever's winning get parked in front of their box, and for 20 minutes it is non-stop bombardment of, can we hold on to this
But
one
as
or
you
two
see,
goal lead?
many results get turned in the last 10 minutes in the first division.
So many games are decided in that final 5-minute period because the team just cannot sustain that low block in front of the goalkeeper.
Of course, when the other team tries to attack, counter-attack, boom, go. It's done. It's finished. And obviously, if we play, like this year, Slima is one of the favorite teams that are going to get promoted. If they are playing, against a lower-rated team, and they are doing... Obviously, the last 10 minutes need to be the 10 minutes where you go there and you keep them in the box and you try to score. But obviously, if they get one time out...
Exactly. And that's the difference. I've always said the Challenge League, the difference between the Challenge League and the Premier League is you make a mistake in the Premier League, it's a goal. No question. If you make a mistake in the Premier League, the foreigners are good enough that they punish you every time. In the Challenge League, you might get away with 2 or 3 mistakes a game, but if you're making mistakes consistently, you are going to lose that game because the majority of the goals come from mistakes. They don't come from fabulous, well-worked team play goals. It's usually a lack of concentration from one player. He messes up a pass and gives it straight to the attacker, or he slips at the wrong time, or he's not paying attention and miscontrols the pass, and now they're through on goal. The mistakes ultimately decide the games in the Challenge League.
Many games, and obviously even in the Premier, these mistakes, they can finish a game up.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked about your injury, coming back from injury. Tell me a bit more about Zabar. How did that deal come about when you just come back from injury? Were you still under contract with Leah, or...?
I went on loan with Birgo at the time.
Okay.
And then obviously COVID stopped the
season.
The league, the season. And obviously I had that time, to take rest, work on myself. Mm-hmm. And just get this call in the afternoon. Terence just called me. He said, listen, I'm going to Zabar in amateur league. Mm-hmm. And I want you to come with me, because I know what you've passed from, and I think it would be a good experience for you. And as soon as I talked to my dad, he said, go now and sign.
Yeah.
Because obviously me and my dad, Terence. My dad introduced Terence in Birkirkara. He bought him.
Yeah.
From Baltan. And he knows what kind of player he is, what kind of level he is. And what he can do with me, He can help me lift up my game. And obviously I signed with Zabar at that time. And we started the season, started going well, winning every game. And then as the change of the coach came, some things in the club weren't going so well. And
the first coach was Borislav.
Yeah.
What did you think of him as a coach?
I think he's an old school coach, he has that old school mentality, but that old school mentality won us games.
I had him at Ormy for about 3 weeks when I first joined, and I think it's unfair, my judgment on him, because it was his final 3 weeks. The season was pretty much decided. He didn't really have a good group of players to work with. I think he had given up at that point. I don't think he'd cared anymore. And I remember the first training session I went to, I turn up and I'm really excited because I'm like, okay, right, my first chance to actually start playing now here in Malta. I've been here for 2 years, I've been a coach, now it's time for me to play and get on the field. And I remember turning up and I see him rock up maybe 5 minutes late, and he walks in and he starts laughing with the players, and then he comes over to us and was like, oh yeah, I don't really know what we're doing today, I'm just going to make it up as we go. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, what? You can't tell me that. You're meant to be the coach. You're meant to be the one with the plan. You can't make it up as you go. And even if you are, pretend that you're not.
Exactly. But as
Give me confidence in what you're doing by making me think that you've got a plan.
You know that Olmi at the time was
a disaster, bro. It was a disaster.
Relegated for sure.
100%.
And obviously he knew that everything was finished and done.
Yeah.
But obviously as a coach you still need to
carry that level of professionalism across to the players, even if you don't care. Because I've been there as a coach. Sometimes you do go through the motions. I don't do session plans. I never did session plans. I don't really care. In session plans, I know I've got a bank of knowledge when it comes to sessions. I've done enough coaching that I can make a session on the spot before the session starts. I'll get there maybe half an hour early and I'll plan the session there and I'll make out what I want to do, exactly what I want. But you have to carry that level of professionalism to the players because they're relying on you to give them faith.
Exactly. As players, we look up to the coaches, because they are the only people that could help us develop our football style.
So Boris left.
And Fausto came in.
Yeah.
Some changes were made, and obviously I was part of the change.
Yeah.
And at first, till December, I was playing, regularly. But then in January, he bring his own players, and obviously I got sidelined. But I responded that not to him or to someone else, but to myself. Because every time that I got in, I scored and I went out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for me is a job done.
It's always frustrating when you feel like you've been a part of one coach's plans and then the second another guy comes in. You can see immediately when a coach doesn't consider you one of his players. And it was partly one of the reasons why I ended up leaving Gargour this year. Is I could see from January when I signed that the coach didn't really have anything to do with the signing, and from that point on he wasn't really interested in me as a player, and I was always going to be a side part of the team, maybe being given minutes here and there just to kind of keep me going. But
obviously you feel frustrated.
Exactly, you can offer a lot more, and it's difficult once you're not considered one of the coach's players to ever become one of his players.
But you need to keep your head there, still give respect to the coach, as I still gave my respect to all my coaches that I had in my career till now. And I moved forward from the thing, and now it's a new season.
Exactly. Fresh start, clean slate. You're in a good setup with a good programme around you. I think if you are given the opportunity to shine this year, again, you're just going to see more progress from last year and carry on that trajectory.
Exactly, we'll work on what I did last year, and obviously we'll take it step by step.
Yeah.
And
carry on that upwards curve towards the Premier League.
Yeah, return to the Premier.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to happen. How old are you? You're 20...
22.
22.
23 in 17 days.
17 days. Well, the podcast might be out by then. I think you're going to be 23 by the time the podcast comes out. So, happy birthday.
Thank you.
But, you've got plenty of years ahead of you. I think you're very switched on mentally when it comes to understanding that you've got time and that it's not a race to get there too soon.
Exactly.
I think especially with the influences you have around you, that you can take your time and make sure that you make the right moves to get to the Premier League. And then, obviously, once you're there, it's down to you to show what you can do. And
exactly. If I get the chance, everyone knows me. The people who knows me, knows that if I get the chance,
You'll
I will
take
surely take it.
Exactly.
I will surely take it. It won't pass by, you know, because those years passed by, 2 years passed by, and obviously that's when I realized that I need to take the chance every day. At work, at football, in my life.
Just don't live life in coast.
Yeah, and regret all the things that you did.
When you become into coasting mode, when you're kind of in cruise control and just letting it drive for you,
Flow.
it's you realise eventually how much time you've kind of let go by without really putting your mind to something and
But
going
of
for
things
something.
you could have done, you know.
Exactly. There's a lot of time in a day. How you use it is what you get back from it later on in life.
Exactly.
So, Gianluca, tell me, growing up in such a well-known family in Malta, in Maltese football at least, in your career, do you find that your name has gotten you any preferential treatment through your journey in Maltese football? Maybe certain contracts or certain moves that other players might not have been able to get, but because of your reputation, let's say, you've been able to kind of...
Well, I don't think so, because my dad doesn't like these things, and the first thing that he says to all my coaches that I had in my career and to all the people that obviously want to recruit me, that I don't get preferred, you know.
Yeah.
If a player is better than me, obviously he needs to play, and that's what the mentality my dad has, you know. If a foreign player and a young player are training, but the young player this week was very, very good, the young player plays. But for some coaches in Malta, not in Malta, even foreign countries, you know, they play
their favourite players regardless. Yeah. It's the most frustrating thing as a player to be on the outside of that inner circle, and knowing that no matter how hard you train, no matter how well you do in training, it has no impact on the game. That's,
I think, the downfall of the player, you know, because you know that you're giving a lot. I had this experience, you know, in Malta with a certain club, and I knew that I was giving my all, you know, and I wasn't playing, I wasn't giving time, and I said to myself, what am I going to do? You know, don't give up. There's so many options you could do, but obviously keep your head there.
It's difficult to stay present in the moment. It's very easy to just suddenly say, okay, well, this year's a write-off, I'll move next year. And then you stop, but then you're limiting your progress for next year because you've stopped and you don't care.
But you need to keep training, you know. When the chance comes, you will surely need to take it.
The off season for me this year was a blessing because I hit that wall. I'd just come back from injury. I signed with Gargour. Going into Gargour, there was a lot of hype about, okay, they've signed this really good player. He's like above the amateur league, is what I was told. I was told by some of the committee members there that when it got announced on the radio that I'd signed, that a couple coaches had phoned up and mentioned that, wow, how did you pull off that signing? We didn't think he was interested playing this level. He's a high caliber player. You've got a really good deal there. And in my head, I thought, okay, that's a great basis to work with. It seems that people are hot on this deal, so maybe I come up now. I just play well in training. I'm in the team now. I play, score a few goals for the team, get us promoted, and now my stock's high again. And I turned up, and having to quarantine for the first 2 weeks killed me, because immediately the coach lost interest, because how do you take a player that's already not fit and coming back from it now has 2 weeks quarantine? We didn't play well in those 2 games that I've missed, which meant that now we're slipping down the table, and now the coach is under a bit of pressure of, I really need to try and hold on to this promotion, but I don't want to really rotate someone into the team now that I don't know and isn't really 100% fit, because every game is a final for us now to try and stay in promotion. And ultimately I just did not get a look in, and no matter how hard I trained, I was scoring bicycle kicks in training. I'm scoring like worldie volleys, like showing like a lot of ability in training.
You're showing the will and desire, you know, to play, and I still don't get recognized.
Can't get on the pitch. I just can't get on the pitch, and I recognised after the first 2 games, because I got 10 minutes in the first game. I thought, wow, that was a bit quick, but whatever. Like maybe next game I get more. Next game I got 20 minutes. I'm thinking, oh, okay, up. Like next game, maybe 30, 40 minutes. And we won the game. And I thought I'd done my job. Like, that was a good performance from me. So next game, maybe 30, 40 minutes. And then that's my time to actually play. And then the next game I didn't get played. And my dad had flown all the way from England to watch the game. And I told him, I said, look, I'll probably play this game. We're playing bottom of the league. I've had 10 minutes, 20 minutes, natural progression. I might get 30 minutes, come and watch me. So my dad flew over, sat there in the crowd, and I'm sat on the bench and time's ticking away and I'm looking, and gets to the second half, I'm still looking, not been told to warm up. And then it gets to like 70th, 80th minute and my face just drops and I was like, it's happening again, I'm not going to play. And then when your dad's in the crowd and he's flown all this way,
you feel devastated.
so
I know what you
deflated.
feel. I know what you feel.
And then every game went by after that and I'm just on the bench not playing, and I'm like watching the time, looking, and then he starts asking midfielders to warm up to go and replace the striker. He asks a defender to warm up and go and replace it, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like the only striker on the bench here, and you would rather play a defender up front than play me. And it's just so demoralising. And my mentality went from being so committed to like losing weight and getting fit and getting ready to play to just, okay, this season's a write-off, I'm not going to play. And my head went, and I immediately then stopped all my dieting, stopped everything. And although I was playing well in training, I just didn't care because I knew ultimately it was going to have no impact.
That's what happens, when these kind of things happen.
So Jam, final question before we move on to the more light-hearted topics of the podcast. One question I did have for you. Did you ever feel a pressure to succeed in football growing up because of your name?
Well, I think, yes, there was a little bit of pressure, because my dad is Zammit, he's the best coach in Malta. He was a good footballer as well, and obviously you need to succeed on his name. But I want to succeed on my own, make my own name, so I don't want that pressure in my life, that pressure in my football life that I'm playing, and I want to be sure that I'm playing good and well, scoring goals every game, That's a lot of pressure for a player like me, and yeah, obviously, like I said, I had a little bit of pressure, but
because
it doesn't bother me.
You do find, especially in the elite level, when you've got these top class footballers or very well respected managers in the industry, there's that expectation that their son has to be almost better than them because they've got all the experience of the father to pass on to them at such a young age. There is that level of expectation, I think, from people around you. Did you find that you could actively see the expectation of people around you to...
Yes. Obviously, like players and coaches, they look up to me. Do what your father knows,
Exactly.
So it was a little bit of pressure for me, but obviously I spoke with the coaches and I spoke with my teammates, that I don't want this kind of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously this kind of pressure downgrades you.
Exactly.
For sure.
Because it takes away from your name.
And it takes
if
away
people are
your
so focused
well.
on your father, it takes away from you. You're your own person. You are the one on the field right now, and you want their respect for your own ability, not their respect because of the family that you're from.
Yeah, it's true.
So how did you kind of, in your own mind, channel that out and be able to focus on yourself?
Just regular things, be a regular friend, be a regular team player.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like we said in previous questions, I don't get perforated in some situations. So that's what helped me, not being the one that to be looked up to, Obviously you need to be that guy, that the players look up to you, They know that you are a special player, and obviously they know your level and they know what you can do.
Exactly.
So obviously I've controlled that level, and obviously, like I said, if you have that kind of pressure, it changes you.
Yeah.
It changes you how to play, and it changes you how to think as well.
Because I know that you are, from what I've seen anyway, and the experiences that I've had around you, even at the camp, you're a well-respected player within Maltese football for your own abilities, and people do actively come to you for advice and will use you as a point of like knowledge, because they know that you are very knowledgeable, having developed your own encyclopedia of knowledge, both from the wealth of experience that you've got above you influencing you as you grew up, but also you've played at Birkirkara, you've played at San Gwann, you've played across Division 1, Amateur League, Premier League.
Obviously what I've been through, from these 2 ACLs, many players, that they get an ACL or...
They stop.
Yeah, but I obviously message them. I message many people, I see that they post.
Exactly.
And I reply to them. And obviously some players come to talk to me, for some tips, what to do, what kind of rehab, how did you stay 7 months.
Exactly.
It's quite difficult, but obviously I try to give my personal advice, exactly what, like I did in the second journey of the ACL, not of the first.
Yeah.
And
it's almost the first is the lesson for them not to follow.
Exactly.
The second is the one for them to follow. But it is important to have those kinds of players on teams that have passed through so much in their career, so that they have that knowledge and wealth of experience to pass on. That's an interesting question for me, actually, is when you decide to hang up your boots, do you intend on becoming a coach yourself, or have you not had that interest yet in coaching?
I haven't had that interest yet.
No?
But I think so, yes. I will try maybe coaching youngsters, not going through the seniors, but I think I will coach youngsters for sure.
Because even just the way that you say that you have that attention of care for other players that you see that go through similar issues that you have, I mean, that's already the number one kind of sign of a good coach, is someone who is relatable to other players and has that duty of care for the people around them.
That's what what a coach needs. That he needs to feel like a player. So that's why certain players don't get that perfect advice from a coach, because he didn't play football.
He doesn't pass through
he
that.
Only learned from courses,
Exactly.
It's different when you play football and when you don't play football, because the advices you give are
personal experiences as opposed to following the book. And what I've always said, especially about the UEFA and FA courses on coaching, is the courses themselves don't teach you the knowledge on football. They teach you how to pass on that knowledge that you already know to...
They teach you how to coach and how to do the sessions, how to plan a session. No, not how to motivate the players.
There are many coaches that are C licensed coaches that have much more experience and actual knowledge to pass on to a player than a license or a pro license coach. Just because someone has their pro license coach, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are all knowing about football. They might have a very limited knowledge of football.
That's true.
But they've gone through the courses and they're very good at then putting that information to other players. They're a very good man manager. They know how to, but maybe their football experience isn't actually that
good.
That good. Yeah. So maybe you take experience from the assistant coach in that perspective, because the assistant coach is the guy that's been playing at every level and has that wealth of knowledge for football. And then the manager's the one that actually takes care of the players, and he's the clever one how to pass on the knowledge to everyone else as to how to play together.
Exactly.
But coaching's always been fascinating to me, and I do think that you would have a bright future just by talking to you today, and from what I know from you in the past, your knowledge on football is very vast. You have encyclopedic knowledge on football, so it just would make sense for me that you would transition into coaching later on in your career.
Yeah,
obviously at 22 you've got plenty of time to not worry about it. Yeah, so maybe when you're 26, 27 you start to think, oh actually, yeah, Danny was right, I think I will give coaching
for sure. I will try to give a chance by coaching, but at this time I only focus on my football.
You've got a very bright future still in football. I think it would be a shame for you to try and distract yourself with other things. Focus on the football, get yourself to where you should be playing, and then you'll develop even more knowledge to pass on to players.
Yes, hopefully.
So we're on to the fun segment of the podcast, Get to Know Gianluca. So I've got some questions for you. I'm going to read them off quick fire and we'll go through them. So first one, what team do you support?
Well, I support Juventus.
Why Juventus?
Since I was little, my mother used to support Juventus and my uncle, and we used to go to the club and watch games. That's when I grew, and I am named after Gianluca Vialli.
Yeah.
He used to play for the Italian national team for sure, but I don't remember for who
He was a good
plays
manager
for.
as well, I think.
Yeah, and that's who I'm named for. So it's that not to support Juventus.
And who was your favourite player growing up?
Obviously, it needs to be Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Okay. Why Ronaldo?
Well, obviously, many people ask me this question: Why Ronaldo? Why Ronaldo, not Messi? Why? Obviously, the style he plays, watching him grow from Sporting to United to Real to Juventus. I've watched him all my life.
Yeah.
He's a role model to me, and obviously, I don't say try to copy, but try to do some things, maybe.
Incorporate that.
Yeah.
Play style at times.
Because I feel that motivation, by him. Just watching him at 37 years old, still playing like 20.
Exactly. I mean, his dedication to the sport is an exemplary.
Exactly, and everything came because he worked for it. He wasn't talented.
As talented as Messi,
naturally.
but that dedication to just
He worked for it.
drill
hard.
himself into becoming a machine.
They used to post these videos on YouTube, and I was little, on these videos there is Welbeck and Rashford in these videos, and obviously he was teaching youngsters, and I used to go after school watching these videos, dribbling, and so obviously I came up watching him.
Who in the current era of football would you say is one of your favourite players? So I know Ronaldo's still playing, so obviously him still, but
obviously now.
Who else? What other players do you watch?
Mbappe is a fantastic player.
Generational
I think
talent,
he's my second favourite.
Yeah, so Mbappe. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to change this question a little bit and make it a bit more relative to Malta. Usually I ask people, would they rather win the World Cup with their country or win the Champions League? So in this case for Malta, we're going to say, would you rather qualify for the later stages of the World Cup with Malta, the national team, or would you rather qualify with the Champions League with a team like Birkirkara?
Well, I think a World Cup is a big thing. It's the big show. So I will go with the World Cup.
Yeah, qualification in the World Cup. You've heard it here first. In 5 years' time, we're going to see Gianluca Zammit leading the Maltese national team to qualification in the World Cup. Get through the group in the qualifiers. Okay, next question. We're going to find out what type of player you are. Do you play for passion or do you play for work? So you get 2 contracts on the table. The first contract, 250,000 a week. Playing in, let's say, Qatar. 1 year deal, but 250,000 a week. Sat beside you on the other table, a contract for Juventus, 5 year contract, no money, only your expenses are paid. So your travel, your food, who are you signing for?
I'll sign with you.
You're signing for Juventus?
Money doesn't do nothing for me, If you play football for money, you're wasting your time for sure. In Malta and even in foreign countries, if you play for money, obviously you get paid for the matches. But if I get this choice, I will obviously choose Juventus and don't get paid.
I find it very interesting because with the other guests that I've asked, especially the male players, I think Patty, that soccer player, was the only other player that went with her contract for Barcelona for 5 years. All the other players have been in agreement that they're taking that 1 year deal, they're setting themselves up a future. But that perspective change of obviously being a Maltese player, the money in Maltese football is obviously not the best. I don't think Maltese players grow up with that expectation of ever really making hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. So
No,
to hear that you would rather sign for Juventus and play,
Exactly.
it's nice, it's refreshing to hear.
for me it's better to play football than to get paid, you know, for playing for a big club in a wealthy
Mhm.
country, you know. And like myself, you know, from what I've passed from, I'd like to play, not to play for money.
Mhm.
I'd like to play for free, not for money.
Very, very refreshing to hear, honestly. I'm very happy that you went with that direction. So, next one, score a hat-trick or score a last-minute winner?
Score a hat-trick.
Hat-trick. Stats are stats. I'm
Yes.
getting 3 goals.
Exactly, the more goals the better.
Could be the difference between a 20-goal season and an 18-goal season. 20 sounds much better. Right, so we're going to shine a little bit of a light on people that you've played with and against. Off the top of your head, who is the best player that you have ever played with as a teammate? Out of your entire career, could be in your youth days, in your current days. What player would you say is the best?
Foreign or Maltese?
Give me both.
So, Maltese player, I have to go with Michael Mifsud. I played with him with Birkirkara. He's a very, very experienced player. Played with Coventry, scored against
He was
United.
one of my heroes growing up. He was the first player that I ever discovered that was Maltese. And this was around about 10 or 11 years old when I was starting to figure out about my Maltese roots. And I became in love with just Maltese football because of that. It was always, after that, I was like, I want to play one season in Malta. I want to be and try and play for the Maltese national team. I want to be Michael Mifsud. And I used to love him growing up. I remember all my friends used to make fun of me because we'd be talking, we'd be like, oh, I want to be Henri today. I want to be Ronaldo today. I was like, I want to be Michael Mifsud today. So he's the best Maltese player?
Yeah, and foreign players I have 2. Valdo
Mm-hmm.
Alinho and Nikola Vukanac.
Yeah.
He's a centre back. I used to play with him at Birkirkara. He's a leader. He's a monster.
Who is the best player? Again, we can go Maltese and foreign. You've played against, so opposition-wise.
I've played against. I've played against. I think at the time that I was playing in Premier against Roma Muscat with Valletta, he was very, very good.
Good player. I played
Yeah.
against him in the
Yeah.
summer camp that time when
Yeah.
we played Valletta.
And as well as Valletta player Emepena Beltre.
Yeah.
He's a next level player.
What about him was so good?
He tracks you a lot. He was playing at right back. I was playing in the left wing. You know, I just got in for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you know, he's been running all the game, but he didn't leave me 1 minute alone.
And if you were to say one player that is underrated in football right now, who you've played with and you think, wow, this player's got the gift, he should be playing at a much higher level, who are you going to give that platform to? Shine a light on a player that deserves to be playing either abroad or should be playing at the highest level
Well,
somewhere.
I think Jan Bozutil has that light
Yeah.
in Malta. Yeah, he's a very, very talented youngster. He's a very good guy, very good footballer, and I think he deserves to play foreign football for sure.
What club is he currently at?
Floriana.
Floriana. And what level do you think he could be playing at?
He could play in the Premiership for sure. If a team gives him a chance, you know, to adapt, he's like the Messi of Malta.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good. His left foot is unbelievably good. You know, he's not that strong, but he's very, very technical with the
Mhm.
ball. And that's why he's, you know, going up.
So, out of all the squads that you've been a part of, so each season, what squad would you say was your best squad?
Obviously, Birkirkara season 2018-19, the one that we reached the trophy final
Okay.
against Valletta. We lost, but I think we had a good squad. We qualified for the Europa, and yeah, we had a good squad.
What were some of the players in that squad?
Kiko Naumovski, Vukanac, Herrera, Zammit, Luca Montebello, Ryan Kamenzuli, Llewellyn, there are many players, you know.
So I've got a few questions. Judging by the answers you gave me at the beginning about who your favourite players are, I think these are going to be quite straightforward. Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
Mbappe or Haaland?
Mbappe.
Dani Alves or Trent Alexander-Arnold?
Dani Alves, for sure.
Xavi or Iniesta?
Think Iniesta.
Yeah?
He attacks a lot.
I think everyone goes with Iniesta. Xavi was good.
Xavi was
Iniesta.
good, but he defends a lot.
Iniesta was the one
Iniesta was that guy that
made
goes
things
forward,
happen,
you know,
yeah.
and scored that brilliant goal in the World Cup, winning the World Cup for Spain, you know.
Jan, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I think we're going to wrap things there. Guys, this is the end of episode 10 of the Unprofessional Footballer Podcast. Jan, where can people reach you online? What's your Instagram?
Gianluca Zammit 99, and obviously I have a Facebook site as well, and a Facebook link to my
we will have
Facebook
everything behind us on the screen here, so feel free to look him up and follow his journey. Expect big things from Jan. I can see him reaching the Premier League within the next 2 or 3 years for sure, and then it will be interesting to see where he can push on to from there. Jan, it's been a pleasure having you. Hope you've enjoyed being on.
Much.
Guys, if you've enjoyed the episode, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more, comment down below who you want to see next on the podcast, and we'll see you later.